How it's going today is 28th of December, Saturday, and we're gonna be taking a look at a market, what kind of opportunities we can find. Let's take a look at some of the press releases and what's happening, right? First one, that will be a new partnership launched to support economic growth and all collaboration. That will be a new partnership was launched on 18th of December, so some time ago. People are still on holidays, most likely, so there's a lot of catching up to do. Between UK, that will be Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, American Chamber of Commerce, and European Chamber of Commerce. So overall trade and would that be a lot of markets potentially? Anyway, insignificant move towards fostering economic growth and collaboration. A new partnership was officially launched in 18th of December 2024, marked by the significant memorandum of understanding between three prominent chambers of commerce, that will be UK Chamber of Commerce, or Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, American Chamber of Commerce, and European Chamber of Commerce. By the way, the event held by there's names there brought together distinguished guest business leaders and all key stakeholders, highlighting a collaboration commitment to shared prosperity and strengthening relationships. I'll skip some information, or should I cover everything? A vision for collaboration growth event underscored the importance of unity and all cooperation in addressing common challenges and seizing new opportunities. The presidents of three chambers emphasized the dedication to working together, leveraging their combined strengths or to drive economic development and innovation. Next steps in the partnership, that will be training. The working committees representatives from each chamber will be nominated to collaborate actively in the key areas identified during the event. Okay, training. Okay, sure. Implementation of pilot projects. Okay, sure. No communication and no engagement. Sure. More transparency would be very important, as well as where that would be perhaps engagement, right? Well, anyway, let's progress to the last point, that is review and evaluation, right? Which is great. Hopefully, we can, perhaps in the future, there would be a way to reach out to you and or begin engagement, right? So that would be engagement where those would that be email address, would that be contact information, as well as administrate who would be administrating the entire initiative and how we can engage with all the partners. Otherwise, we're kind of wasting time reading all this information, and there isn't a way to engage with any of the partners. So we're showing that is something that we're doing, but they themselves they're discussing engagement without presenting information on how to engage. Let's progress. Let's take a look at the next article. Briefly, we can take a look at next press release. That would be 15 million to help charities get spare produce to those in need. Around 330 tons of edible food is wasted or fed to animals each year before leaving farms. Thousands of tons of food, including festive favorites like okay, sure. Sprouts. I'll skip some of the names just in case it might be referred to as a capital, so those kind of things. But anyway, sprouts and all potatoes. Well, in next press release, we're gonna be taking a look at potatoes and how potentially solve entire problem. But anyway, thanks to a new, or it might be otherwise to be waste, will be delivered to those who need it the most. Thanks to new 15 million government fund. So that would be potentially fund and what they're taking a look at, how better use those potatoes. Well, in the next article, we're going to be taking a look at perhaps how to solve entire root cause of this problem. But anyway, an estimated 330 tons of edible food is either wasted or repurposed as animal feed before leaving farm gets every year. While farmers will prefer for this to be disdain for people plates if possible. But anyway, I believe that none of the farmers are interested in throwing food away, but sometimes they have to. But anyway, chart is that redistribute food often lack the means to collect food from farms and get it to those who need it. To strengthen this links between farms and no charters and no help to solve problem of farm food waste, a new scheme will see grants starting from 20,000 made available for those non-profits food redistribution sectors in England throughout the year, but established over Christmas and season of goodwill will help organizations like homeless shelters, food banks, and all charities fight hunger. It will help British farmers to deliver food for those that needs it and will reduce the cost they face when dealing with the waste, while also increasing the capacity and all capability of those redistributing sectors to take on farm surplus, right? So we are taking a look at farm surplus and perhaps how we, as a society, we can look after some of the people who would be best in need, right? Then we take a look at poultry sector. Perhaps we can take a look at the different article, right? That would be researchers developing heat wave resistant potatoes. So, if possible, due to manufacturers, including climate change, perhaps more and more crops will be affected by changing of climate and all heat waves, right? And protecting some of the crops, and if possible, extending or would that be yields that might be affected? Some of the yields not necessarily be affected, as well as perhaps extending some of the life, all those kind of things, right? How in other ways funds can be allocated, but anyway, that will be something that will be published 18 of December 2024. Scientists are developing potatoes that could withstand heat waves to help crops grow in the future affected by climate change, right? So perhaps not too distant future, but anyway, I don't know anything. I'm reading all this information for the first time. Then there's the genes, all this kind of thing. So I'm looking to understand it, right? A team from researchers of University of Essex carried out field trial in the U.S. state of Illinois and found adapted plant growth up to 30% more potatoes under heat stress, right? 30% of increase of yields of crops, right? So there's other way to addressing need of looking after for most vulnerable of our society. But anyway, as well as farmers and what they're using. So if there's a land and if we have let's say every meter of this square meter, we can yield 30% more crops of every year, so we can look after the people. Anyway, this is business, but anyway. This was done by adding two genes with modified the plant phosphorylation process, leaving more energy for greater growth. Okay. I don't know all these parts, right? I'm reading it for the first time. Authors of the paper, published in the Journal of Global Change Biology, describe it's a peer review where things should be picked up at and scrutinized, and if it will pass potentially peer review, but potentially that might be a process. But anyway, I described as a step as a promise eventual for yield increase in the face of the warming planet. Multi-location field trial also needed to confirm the team's findings is varying environment. It's a team led by there's the names there and are made up of people from University of Illinois and University of Essex worked on the RIPE project. I think that's the name of the project, as well as perhaps in Sahel region in Africa, where the temperatures can be very high in terms of temperature, right? And climate could be challenging when it comes to growing anything in some of these regions, right? Perhaps less water and temperatures can be very high. Perhaps that would be alternative way to get calories that would be needed. Since we're at the holiday season, that would be perhaps some of those articles. I know some people worry about their own health, right? People in Lithuania among most overweight in Europe, or perhaps health consciousness. Let's try to rate some of those levels when it comes to how many calories people should consume and some of the people over consuming, right? There's many factors. Well, I haven't read this article. Let's try to understand it, right? As well as there's a number of organizations in Lithuania that I believe many people have reached out to for ways of how to improve different areas, including food labeling could always be done better in Lithuania, which perhaps should be of interest to many. Those organizations they haven't responded, by the way, and people are busy doing their own things. So even if people are trying to reach out to some of those organizations when it comes to food labeling, those organizations not responding to for comment. So this is a situation that we would have when it comes to health, including Lithuania. Anyway, Lithuania is ranked fifth in Europe in terms of people aged 16 and or above who are overweight, according to the recent Eurostat poll. Experts are describing this as a new epidemic for the country. Okay, okay. I guess only the Latvia, Finland, Romania, and Malta are ranked above Lithuania in contest. Italy has the last overweight people. Okay, interesting. Performed, okay, let's keep names. Head of Department for Public Health and Vilnius University attributes the overweight epidemic to poor Lithuanian eating habits. So it could always be better wording, but anyway, so the people in some of those countries tend to go for, or perhaps lack of understanding food labeling. We can go for hours, right? I have written a book about it. But anyway, our research shows that Lithuania like to eat fat foods exactly. But anyway, they do not consume enough vegetables and all products rich in dietary fiber. Low levels of physical activity also contribute to being overweight, he said. That's true, that's true. But anyway, according to dietitians, let's keep name, it's important to look at eating culture in the country. Yeah, some of its habits, all these kind of things, right? It also interesting that people in Italy or France are among the least obese. The slimmest people, it turns out, live in the country's sweet potatoes and no cheese. I said, okay, 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 okay. Let's not bring other countries into this. Perhaps, if anything, those people, perhaps, who are part of this article, they should come up with solutions how to address this problem when it comes to some of the courses, education, different partnerships, perhaps introducing different initiatives. Or if it's sedentary lifestyle, perhaps there might be some of the activities that will need to take place since we're entering New Year, right? I haven't read this article. Perhaps if there would be a contact information when it comes to if we were to address just one issue, perhaps we can put together a letter and we can reach out to some of these people mentioned with regards to the letter and how to address some of these areas, including food labeling. So we will propose to label food better when it comes to all this information that these professionals have themselves been looking to address, right? So if we were to propose this initiative, most likely to we'll see. We'll see. I'm not very optimistic for anything to get done. Right? Everyone's talking about the problem and are not necessarily interested in the solutions. So taking a look at solutions. Anyway, let's take a look at next articles. On a different note, perhaps something that we were taking a look at previously, that would be bounties, right? Bounties for particular tasks. In this case, that would be the Russian billionaire announces bounty for downing of F-16s. Let's keep this previously offered $50,000 for a first destroyed Abrams or Leopard tank. So that would be the military and all the motivation on the field. I guess in this case we are taking a look at what bounties Russia is offering, right? Not necessarily other parties involved, but anyway, let's take a look at it. That's facts and information, right? The CEO of okay, let's keep names. Forces has announced that it will be awarded 15 million rubles or $149,000 or so to first Russian serviceman to have down US-made F-16 fighter jet, which reportedly happened in, okay, it already happened, but anyway, as well as there was some conflicts with some of those F-16 fighter jets been taken down by US, where they have taken their own jet, I believe, but anyway, the company is awarded official confirmation from the Russia's Ministry of Defense regarding the destruction of the F-16 fighter jets. This reward for the downing of F-16s is our contribution to supporting those who risk their lives daily for the safety of motherland. We will proud of the heroes in our soldiers and will continue to provide them with comprehensive assistance. Okay, so some of the statements mentioned, right? Since there was a lot of rumors, right? Rumors and different forums and different rumors that we were taking a look at previously were discussing potential tanks, perhaps some of the air defense systems, which prices can go up into hundreds of millions depending on the system, right? So as well as long distance rocket launchers that would be surface to air potentially, or surface to surface, some of the systems and prices. And there was a lot of statements, a lot of rumors, and everything was happening in forums, right? And it's something that we were taking a look at previously. So right now we can confirm, I guess, that it's actually true. And there's a person who potentially would pick up a tab when it comes to actually fulfilling some of those promises, right? Let's take a look at the next article. Previously, we were taking a look at some of those contracts. I believe the company, can we disclose this company? There isn't that many companies who, let's skip those companies' names, right? Were carrying out a lot of resource mining in Africa region, right? And some of these contracts was paused for time being for whatever reason, right? So potentially, then it comes to electricity, and with regards to UK, we were taking a look at about 10% of energy needs as of now been purchased from France. So UK purchasing electricity from France, and more than likely that will be nuclear energy when it comes to cost, right? As well as I believe Germany may or may not be purchasing a lot of electricity from France as well, since Germany have closed its own capabilities when it comes to nuclear. So that will be very important when it comes to France having these critical capabilities and all uranium mining, right? I know signing a deal that with Mongolia announced on Friday that it has reached agreement preliminary with France. Okay, that's more than likely that the same company's name, but let's skip all these names, right? Mining group for the development of a long-anticipated uranium mine project value at $1.6 billion. So that would be right. The Mongolia, I believe when it comes to critical minerals or resources, on the list they do have a lot of capabilities, as well as partnerships, perhaps shipping. When it comes to shipping and having access, there might be a lot of, or it may or may not be a lot of problems having access to Mongolia, right? But when it comes to what would be defined as critical minerals, there are so many different available minerals in Mongolia. For people who are interested, reach out to embassies. More than likely that will be the best way to do it, right? And all establishing those relationships, right? Since $1.6 billion, there might be a lot of money, as well as its growing economy, and it's growing very fast. The government announced the project will begin in preparation phase in 2024 and run until 2027 only. Okay, first production anticipated to start in 28. The peak production will reach 2.6 million metric tons in 2044. Okay. The statement quoted, but let's keep names. Or perhaps if people are interested, there might be that's a person who you might need to reach out to. But anyway, Mongolia's prime minister. Okay. Agreement is step forward to boosting inward investment and new employment opportunities. The government announced earlier that they had reached the agreement with the company's name. They then retracted their statement and said it was only a preliminary agreement, right? So perhaps everything is still in development and may or may not go forward with some of those announcements. But anyway, let's progress and let's go to the next article. Last article, let's take a look at Seaborne Marine integrates LNG-fueled container ship into a fleet. Myself, I would be interested in understanding what's going on when it comes to LNG and alternative to fuel sources, I guess. Miami-based carrier Seabourn Marine is beginning into integrating new class of innovative LNG fuel container ship into its fleet, serving as a South America. The U.S. carrier highlights the advanced features and increased capability of it, places the first two vessels of its new so-called V class into a fleet that totals 6 ships into a class due to the end of 2025. Okay, so that would be potentially, since myself I was looking to understand what Germany is looking to do. Most likely, Germany is going to be looking at developing different engines. My own understanding, most likely Germany would be progressing into Navy, or we have to. Since I was doing a little bit of research on Germany, I guess this is what United States is doing. What Germany would follow, who knows exactly, but whichever engine Germany would pick, I believe they would design one of the best engines up there. But anyway, that's something what the US is doing, right? Seaboard is a part of trend among US carriers that has embraced LNG for its environmental properties and efficiency. Okay. I don't know about the temperature. More than likely, or maybe not. When it comes to temperature, LNG would need to be taken down to very low temperatures, or that's not the case. Well, anyway, let's progress without the project names. Claims the Honor is introducing the new 2018, the first LNG-fueled container ship, and it has continued to expand its fleet. Well, its skip names has also added LNG-fueled vessels, including the new builds. Okay, there's a new, I know, perhaps similar projects. I know another project. Well, okay, that's also stated LNG contributions of the LNG ready vessels, while also ordering new dual fueled container ships. Okay. Oh, okay. So a year ago, this is where Germany. I didn't know. I'm reading all this information for the first time. Oh, Germany, designers of a new class of vessels, or seaborne marines. I know they were operated from China's OK Ship Engineering Company. The original order was expanded to 2023. Then Seaborne exercised the openness of the additional ships, and all shipyard highlight they are the largest container ships built by the yard, right? So someone with potentially by weight, I think that's the way how to measure when it comes to building ships. China is up there about 50% or close to 50% of all vessels to be built. So many yards, so many staff, and so many projects going on in China, right? When it comes to how those vessels would be powered, I would be taking a look at perhaps Germany and what projects Germany would be looking to develop, since currently they're testing. Germany most likely are testing different engines, perhaps 4 or 5 different engines. My guess, I don't know, I don't have evidence to support the statement, right? If they're gonna go with LNG, I don't know. Perhaps when it comes to 2018, they might have considered to go with LNG. But who knows exactly, right? Among the unique elements of the design is the first adoption of a double C type vertical gas tanks. The tanks of the seaborne vessels are reported to be the world's largest vehicle gas tanks so far developed on a ship. Vessels also adopt new bow arrangement. Again, I'm just reading this article. I don't know if all this information is credible. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true, all these kind of things, right? It's important to highlight this fact. Anyway, design emphasis ecological sustainability. Sure. A dual fuel engines, and there's the name of those engines. Let's skip those. It's a very technical language, not necessarily that many people are interested in that. Each ship has 2 diesel generators and 1 LNG generator. Perhaps I would go with this type of process just to test it, right? To test it if it would be an option to progress to LNG powered, right? Not necessarily diesel powered. So that's how I would do it, if you would ask me, right? So I would have perhaps a mix of, and as well as from time to time I would test it and see it in order to see capabilities, right? I don't know who's manufacturing these engines. I don't know any of these details, but that's how I would do if I would be carrying out the test and if I would have a lot of access to LNG. That's how I would do it. They have been classified as a DNV and are reported to have significant speed of 15.5 knots, right? Okay, sure, sure. Okay, this is the name of the project. Mark 6 is citing a milestone as the second ship of a cutting-edge V-class series of the 6 vessels, and the second of the 8 new LNG-powered ships transformed our fleet. There's a lot of people who are making statements. Let's progress without those names. Introduce the vessels arriving and reflect our dedication of sustainability on delivering exceptional services to our customers. This project's name, which complete sea trials in August. Okay, so they perhaps completed all the testing already, what I guess, and was integrated into our fleet in November. There's a project name Services a month recently making their first call off. Okay. Potentially in South of America, the ship joined a route between the US and Caribbean, Central and South America. Each of the vessels has a capacity for 3,500 TEU, including over 1,000 reefer plugs at approximately 52,500 DVT, and no ships are registered in Liberia. Okay. Sure. Let's close on that. There's a lot of technical language. If anything, only thing I'm looking to understand as of now, who gonna be and powered those engines, right? How those engines, new engines, most likely will be powered. Would that be LNG? Would that be alternative sources? And who more than likely would be manufacturing those engines, right? Since there might be a lot of issues when it comes to cost, right? How to do it at the least amount of cost, if possible. So if that would be LNG, that would mean that that LNG would need to come from somewhere. But anyway, let's close on that. There's a lot of technical language, and it might be a credible article, but I don't know. I'm reading all this information for the first time. Let's close on that. Thanks for watching. See you next one.